Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Let's do that again. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for my art career and my career at Maricopa Colleges by leaving a dislike on this video. I'm kind of at a crossroads with what to do with my art career because it has a weird dynamic. Having that secondary career really helps me to speak up for myself at the Maricopa Colleges. And I know this because there have been times in times past where I didn't speak up for myself because I didn't have room to breathe. Let me tell you what happened. At my previous job at a tutoring center, actually 2 jobs ago, this was at a tutoring center in Seattle, Washington. We had just gotten rid of the mask mandate. This was in, I want to say, mid 2022. You got to remember, Seattle had it worse than a lot of other places. And the kids obviously were eager to quickly drop their masks, right? It seemed like the minute that the mandate was lifted, nobody wanted to wear a mask anymore. And kids started to bring food into the tutoring center. I have food allergies, and I have to gently tell these kids, please be careful with your food. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of education on food allergies, right? Kids sometimes wonder why they can't dust their hands everywhere, and even adults sometimes, right? Now think about it. You got um, there's just a huge gap of education, right? These adults would never dream of dusting their hands if they were working with, I don't know, chemicals in their garage. They were sanding lead paint in their home, right? Or any number of things that they would recognize, right? But some people, there's a gap in education with food allergies. So sometimes I have to quickly bring people up to speed about that. I was working at a tutoring center, and one day, one of these kids just probably couldn't, I wouldn't tell it in front of the kids, but the kid has ADHD and probably wouldn't be able to pick up speed in 10 minutes, right? What to do with the food allergy. So I talked to one of my colleagues, and we switched assignments for that day, which was great because it's always nice to network with additional students. But my boss was very unhappy about that. And he wrote me up for making fun of the kids eating junk food or something like that. He completely twisted what I had said. And I kind of accepted it. Today, had I run into the same situation, I probably would have said, it's not the junk food that I'm concerned about, right? I actually have food allergies. Maybe bring him up to speed as well. Unfortunately, my boss comes from a different culture. I don't think food allergies is nearly as prevalent in their with their because of their genetics. I won't say what culture or anything, but let's just say that he probably has never run into a family member with severe enough food allergies, and so he probably he had a gap in education. He's an immigrant as well, right? So he probably has a gap in education in that as well. But today I would have handled it differently. Now that I have the secondary career, if this came up at Phoenix College, oh my God, I would straighten the record on the spot. I wouldn't feel sorry about trying to straighten the. I put it in writing as well. Follow up with an email, but unfortunately, I didn't have the room to breathe at that moment in time. Now, what's really funny is that I have my art career now, right? It's bringing me some income, not enough to live on, obviously, but some that I could actually afford to take risk at my day job. Last month, we had a performance review at the college, and for the first time in my life, I find myself actually digesting the review, taking in the criticism, and actually being constructive about it. In the past, performance reviews were a time where I would sweat and gasp for air and all that. I don't have to do that anymore. Unfortunately, it comes at a price, right? The art projects obviously keep me up all night, and sometimes when I'm doing really good, they get addictive, and they obviously take up time as well. See, a lot of people forget. People think that because I'm single, I should have all this extra time. People forget that looking for that life partner in and of itself is almost like a 40-hour a week job. It really is. I can attest to that, and unfortunately, people don't recognize that, right? Anyways, please pray for me, my art career. My Another thing I noticed ever since I began the art career isn't just a career for me; it's also a love life, right? And so when I talk to a girl that I like, I'm not so nervous anymore because I have this fallback option as well. And so that's great. You guys who have been following my channel know that I recently met uh, I call her Taylor Jr. because she's a younger version of Taylor Swift. And then yesterday at a hiking meetup, I had a good conversation with Evelina. I call her Evelina because a middle-aged woman, Polish, never dated in her life. It sounds like I call those people Evelinas. And so I had a good conversation with her. And so the more I have it, the easier it is, the less hesitation there is to forge ahead, right? Had I not had the art career, none of this would have played out, right? That performance review would have been another heart pounding event, right? I would have messed up how I responded to it. I certainly wouldn't have talked to the Taylor Jr. And so, had I not had the Taylor Jr., the Evelina probably wouldn't have played out either. You get the idea, right? It's kind of unfortunate. I wish it went the other way around, right? The people who don't have that secondary career need to be speaking up for themselves at work, right? I kind of feel guilty that I have this privilege right now, right? I'd rather that somebody who had less had this kind of privilege, right? It's kind of unfortunate. I'm thinking about working on some changes to our culture to make it so that there's more of a catching up mechanism, right? I think whoever comes up with a way that our culture has a catching up mechanism, they deserve to win a Nobel Prize, right? This is a very important invention that we need to have, right? But in the meantime, before we have that invention, please continue to pray for myself, pray for everybody else that I work around by leaving a dislike on this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.